And that's why skeletons never get their hair cut. So this is Tuesday, October 9th, and we do have a dead kid, so in theory he might actually be watching this later if he's responsible. Who knows? Fingers crossed. What we have coming up, one, I sent out a reminder yesterday, your first 9 weeks grade might have changed because I put your entry, the 9-week assessment in the wrong spot, so whoopsie. So I had to move it over. How much did it affect your grade? I have no idea whatsoever. That's a math thing. If you did really well in the 9-week assessment, it might have moved your grade up. If you did really poorly on the 9-week assessment, it might have moved your grade down. But probably not a whole lot one way or the other. Today we're going to finish flowers and do a whole lot of yelling and arguing with each other as politely as possible. Tomorrow we have a review game where you're going to get a chance to, we play an actual game with like buzzers, like game show, and you have a chance to win prizes. And it gives off
I want $1,000. $1,000 to go.
That's what you call loss of points. More power to you. But what's important is if you're loud, at least make sure you make poor choices with it. And I talk about the fact that now we're in the second 9 weeks, all of your poor choices cost you 3 points each time?
Yes.
Just making sure. I feel bad sometimes. I don't tell kids that. Let's see. Tomorrow, most of the questions are going to come from Flowers for Algernon, the necklace, Retrieved Reformation. Will be like the majority of the questions, although I'll throw out some other ones to try and help out those kids who are not prepared as much, but expect most of the questions to come from those areas. If you know the stuff tomorrow, you'll do well on the quiz Thursday. Test Thursday. It's like a 50-question test. If you don't know the stuff tomorrow, then you're probably going to be struggling to have some idea what to do. My guess is step one would be go read the stories and then work from there. Tomorrow's the Twin Day. Twin Day! In order for Twin Day to work, I have to see you and your other person at the same time. You can't come to me and say, I'm twinning with Bobby in 7th period. Remember me? No, that's not going to happen. Come on, old brain. So you're going to have to actually take a photograph of them. Some of you have photographing machines with you. Or you can use an iPad to do your photography thing. And you can just show me an iPad of them and then an iPad picture of you. And that works for me one way or the other. Or physically walk them up to me. You just go hee-hee and stand next to me. So whatever, but I need to see you and other twins. If I don't see the two of you together, you're out of luck. And yes, hiccups. Stop it. It worked. If you can have more than 2 people, you can have like triplets or quadruplets or quintuplets or whatever number you want to count it. That's fine with me. All I have to see is you and another person. It does not get you more points. It's like me and 12 friends. Congratulations. Stop bragging. All I care about is you and that other person. That gets you the points from there. Notebooks. With that, what I'm going to do for notebooks, I'm going to try something new. I'm all about trying new things. If you would like to turn it in today, you may. But here's how turning it in today works. If you turn it in today, I give you +5 extra credit points added onto your grade. But you're guaranteeing me there are no mistakes in your book, that you are going to be getting a perfect score. Because if you turn it in today, anything you do wrong counts double points. So, missing a date or title instead of costing you 3 points would cost you 6 points. So, anything you do wrong would count double. Because you're saying, Mr. Broviak, I am super duper responsible and I went through and did everything I was supposed to with my dates and titles. I guarantee it. And then you can just turn it in on my desk at the end of class. You just slap it down and I will grade it for you. My goal is to get them back to you before Thursday. If you're not sure, you might want to wait till later this week before you turn yours in and not do the whole gambling and lottery eating and stuff like that. So I leave that up to you if you wish. I will leave it on this screen for a moment so you guys can take a look at it, which once again, that's straight from my website for those of you who are trying to figure that part out. Awful.
I do sign when you say my name. I like when you're happy and you say my name.
Awful!
Thank you. So, I put my title like right here, but does that have to be like on this big line?
As long as it's in the middle.
Cool.
And top just means like above wherever your writing starts. Okay. Emerton?
On the test, can we like use like the...
Absolutely. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
It's just don't wait till that day to read the stories because they're going to take a long time to get through. Number 2.
If you miss points, does that take away from your extra credit?
Well, you start off not getting any extra credit. So if you miss points, I start subtracting from 125, not 130.
Oh, I get it.
So you have to get, if you get a perfect score and you did everything correct, I bump you to 130. If you miss one thing, it's going to drop you down to a 119.
I get it.
All right, big window there. Meow. Mall.
If we turn it tomorrow, do we get it also,
No.
or just today?
Just today for
And
now.
another question. So, me and 2 other friends, that's one of them, are doing the Twin triplets, and the other one is a globetrotter. So can we throw her under the bus
Sure.
if we wanted to?
That's how friendship works.
So
All
your
right.
third question.
Caw.
So by the end of the year, like, will you have like 100 points, like this, like, 'cause, like,
Oh, going up each 9 weeks?
Yeah.
No. I usually, what happens is the first 9 weeks, I just assume most of you are stupid, so I give you a discount. But I figure by the second 9 weeks, most of you have passed beyond stupidity, so we'll see what happens. Yeah. Owen!
Is it possible that you would have slightly different dates than what
Yeah,
you did?
different dates is fine. And they can be in a different order, as long as they're all up there. Because if you were absent for a day, then you're, whatever, up there, ink me up might be number 9, and that's fine, because you went back to go fix it. As long as I can find it in your table of contents, I'm happy. Yes.
You get house points for this now?
Yeah. But not B points, just the house points, which goes to the overall winning. And Millsaps.
Okay, so what if? Okay, I have 2 questions. What if you had the date? What if you wrote the date twice and you put it up here in where it's supposed to be? Is that
As
still
long as
okay?
it's where it's supposed to be.
And then also,
Technically, you could write your date like 12 times around the outside edges. It's just weird, but that's fine.
And then also, do you get points taken off if you don't have your page labeled?
Like a page number?
Yeah.
Yes, lots of points. Because you have to have the page numbers, because it matches your table of contents for me to be able to find it.
Okay.
If you know you're not turning in your notebook today, you can just go ahead and whoosh it, and then push it to the side. If you need to keep checking it as we go through things, that's fine. But we're going to be getting through our actual story and questioning and talking and stuff like that. Maul?
Well, they know how we have like the bell work and homework things like that. Let's say like for the bell work, we went past the like 10 pages that we put it, and we have to put that there, will we lose points?
You're fine. That's just to help you.
That's
As
perfect.
long as you keep making right choices, you're good to go. All right. And Varma, my last one, because I'm making this disappear. Okay, how silly of me. All right. Now to flowers for Algernon and stuff like that. Once again, with this one, the idea, and curse my death, because I still didn't get to do it with what the story is I wanted to, but hopefully we'll open a bit more of it today and then finish out a lot more of it on Friday, because there's a lot of fun talking I want to do with the story. With flowers, let's see, we didn't get very far into it yesterday before the bell rang because time hates me. Let's see, we started going through and talking about, we did what kind of person was Charlie with you guys yesterday, and overall you said, we talked about the difference between dumb and stupid, and which one is Charlie? Dumb. Which one are most of you?
Stupid.
Just, I thought you guys would be like none, but you guys were like, stupid!
I know I'm stupid.
It was like a trick question.
Well, there's no point in hiding it.
Well, I mean, I feel that way, but I thought you guys
Wait, we
would
have to
try.
be smart
Well,
to
you're-
know not to
you
hide
already
it,
know
so
we
we're
are.
kind of in
No
between.
point.
Did we talk about Charlie's friends with you guys?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on... Well, here's where it gets tough, I guess, because now we've gone to the end of it, and if you've read part 2, your opinion of his friends may change.
Yeah.
So we'll do a quick just part 1-ish before we get into the part 2-ish, because things happen in part 2. Right, Kemps?
Right.
Right.
Don't taunt her. All the rest of you who also did not read part 2. You're like, yeah, make fun of her before you look at me.
It's your fault. You got me confused.
Yeah, totally my fault the whole time. Nate!
You got me confused.
So Algernon,
Yes?
would he be considered a friend?
No.
Okay, then my statement.
You guys
Yeah.
are
I mean,
confusing.
not as far as this goes. He kind of considers it a friend, but it is a mouse. And, I mean, Algernon has issues at the end, but then again, don't most friends. As we found out earlier. DeLong!
Because by the end, Frank and Joe
Mhm.
are like nice to me. Because there's the guy like
What?
Charlie, and they were like telling him to stop. So like by the end, he does have friends really. Like at the beginning, they're kind of making fun of him because they see they can't take advantage of him.
Right.
But then they realize that.
And I think I made this point more fourth period with you guys, where essentially Charlie's the equivalent of a 4-year-old. And so it's the same reason why you guys don't hang out with 4-year-olds now, is it would be awkward, because you can't have the same conversations. And so Charlie's not bad, it's just mental level, he's that around the level of a 4-year-old. So that's why when you guys go to the mall with your friends, you're like, hey, squat up, bring Lucy the 4-year-old. She's like, "Ah," comes running along with you. It'd be weird. But at the same time, it'd be kind of fun to make fun of Lucy. You kind of giggle at her and stuff like that, because that's what 4-year-olds are for. My family. And so that's why they have Charlie around, because that's sort of their relationship with him. As bad as that might be. We did talk about Charlie being happy with you guys.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the story, is Charlie happy?
Yeah.
All right, works for me. Does he remain happy?
No.
What takes away his happiness?
Logic, smartness.
So then, does intelligence equal unhappiness?
Not always.
No.
In
LaRue?
his case, yes.
Awareness equals unhappiness in this case. It's not necessarily. It's like the awareness of the situation.
Would you, or could you, eat with a hat and a expand that out to everybody? Does the idea of the more aware you are of things, do you think that leads to more unhappiness?
No.
I would say
There's a lot of
And here, the reason I ask is not just to put this on LaRue, but the idea of the more you're aware of things in the world, like, things happening over in India, things happening in China, the things happening in other countries, the fact that Brazil just nominated this new person to be president down there, who's basically Trump times Hitler Nazi people. And it's like, it's even worse down there, and the fact that they are a whole country supporting him. And the fact that the more you become aware of things, does that lead to unhappiness? Owen?
It depends on the things that you're aware of. Because like if you're aware of like good things like around you, then you won't inherently be like, unhappy.
So how you interpret those things, I guess? Interesting. I guess there are people who see the bright side of things. All right, sure. Awful?
I kind of agree with the statement of that because if you're, I don't know, say like you can like learn things like, oh, this person's really nice. You're aware that they're a nice person, but then you can also be aware that some other person's like mean and like bullies you. But if you're like Charlie, you don't realize it. So then, once you get more intelligent, almost you start to like realize things because they start to become logical kind of, and then you realize they're not very nice.
So that idea of ignorance is bliss, the less you know, that I just steal your comment. I mean, the thing that Emerton was getting ready to say, that ignorance is bliss, the less you know, the happier you can be. To give you an idea as we move forward, those of you who don't talk as often, when you raise your hand, my goal is to go to you first. So as we go through there, those of you who like to talk a lot, I appreciate it because we need your voice sometimes when there's a lull. But the other kids who never talk, as soon as they pop their hand up, they get to cut right in front of you. Because that's my goal, is to try that. The kid's like, I've never raised my hand. I'm going to try it for the first. Boom, I'm going to call on you. He's like, I caught the fish. And so that's my way of going for it. And then we keep going from there. That's my thinking as we move forward, so you have an idea of why some kids get to cut in front of you. Others of you, I know I get to hear your voice every time I blink, so I get to wait a little bit before I call on you the next time. The first work party. I'm trying to remember which one was that when he went through. Is that the one with the?
He was
The one where he got beat up.
Yeah.
Supposedly was beat up by the police officer.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And that was the fact. Once again, hanging out with Lucy, the 4-year-old. You're like, wouldn't it be hilarious if someone gave Lucy some alcohol to see what happened?
Oh my
You're like,
gosh!
a little drunk 4-year-old just running around. You're like, come on, put that on YouTube. And so it's the same idea that's going to happen here. So that's what happens with Charlie, is he has no idea because he's just not that aware of things. And so that's where we find out that you guys started first doing your judgment of his friends with all their many issues.
It's Brian.
Ooh. His language usage, as it went through there. How was his language at the very beginning?
Really bad.
Terrible.
Until we found out that he discovered grammar, and then he really loved like commas and stuff like that. And then
I like commas, use them everywhere, spam.
that was good stuff. And then his writing gets much easier to read once the intelligence thing sort of kicks in. And
It
then,
gets harder.
and then what becomes the issue from there?
Then he gets his
I
words and his
understand.
vocabulary that kind of make it kind of.
Then he can speak
Is there any
Chinese.
chance that's my next
Oh.
one up there?
Yeah.
I'll come back. Because that connects to Miss Kenyon. Because I was thinking of with Miss Kenyon and the issues that he has with her. Who's Miss Kenyon?
His teacher, his night school teacher who helps his school.
And realize when the story starts off, he thinks of her as being like a whole lot older than him because she's this teacher. So she helps him with the whole learning in night school, and he looks up to her, and they go through the whole learning bits and stuff like that. And then he has trouble talking to her because she's so old and so smart that he has trouble connecting. And then all of a sudden he has the surgery, and then once he has the surgery, what happens with their relationship? You make it sound so happy. He does fall in love with her. Plus he realizes something about her age.
He's not really that old.
He's older. No.
No, they're about the same.
He's not
Yeah.
that old.
Yeah, the fact that she's not really older than him, they're the same age. But it was the fact that because she was so smart, he assumed she was a lot older. He was like, as smart as you were, you had to be older than me. And then as he got smarter, he's like, you're not that much older than me. And then he got even
She's
smarter than her, and then it became that same issue of talking to each other, where he couldn't talk to her because he was dumber. Then at the end, or that middle part, he can't talk to her because she's dumber than him. And he's like, don't you understand the coefficient mathematic equations of trying to expect it? And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's just simple science. And she's like, that's not simple. It hurts my brain. Ka? Yes. What are the benefits of the surgery for Charlie?
So he realized that like people are like taking advantage of him, and he's like trying to figure out like when he would die. Like
Is that a benefit?
I mean, he gets to find out like when he dies. Like if you found out when you got to die, would you like do all the stuff that you wanted to do?
Yes.
Or like that?
So you're saying part of the benefit is him knowing that he's going to die soon.
Kind of.
You know, that's a benefit I can make happen for you. No.
Yes,
I was trying to give a gift. Goodness gracious.
We got that on camera.
Emerton?
You left so much out.
Well, I left a lot out. I'm trying to cover so much of the story. We're still getting there. That was your,
And I'm not done.
that was your whole thing for yelling at me?
Yeah.
That was good stuff. Nate!
One of the benefits, he can drink orange juice without stuffing it up his nose. What?
Right, Sharp!
Okay, so I gotta think about this. Okay, so like he kind of slowly, like he was kind of at others' levels,
Uh-huh.
like a little bit after the surgery, and then he started to go up while others kind of stayed at their level, and so he kind of like missed, and then he was kind of above them all, and so he kind of, there was really no point of having the surgery if he was above them. He can't really talk to anyone.
If his whole point of the surgery was to be able to connect with people and make friends,
Yeah, what's the point of it if he can't?
then we have the other. Yeah, if
And
you
then
can imagine it's people on that straight line, and he was below, and then went way above, and then either way, you have to be along that line to
And
make
then in like
friends.
part, am I allowed to talk about part two?
Sure.
And in part two, he kind of started to go down, and then he kind of skipped that level, and he kind of went back down here, and then it all ended. So, yeah.
Yes. If you can think of it as the story mountain, you have our exposition where he's kind of dumb at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then we have our rising action where he gets smart, and then we have that climax where he finds out like he's super duper smart,
We
and
kinda-
we get to falling action. But the falling action, instead of
skips.
being a slope, is more like a. It's like that
Yeah.
straight downy,
Yeah.
droppy bit. And so as fast as he got smarter, he gets dumber.
And Gomer.
Dead guy.
Let's see from there. We'll skip that one. The second work party is that one the one where let's see,
The girls.
He's dancing.
He's dancing, and they're making fun of him.
and that's
And he's
what's,
too up.
and once again we're having issues with his friends from work with the
Quote unquote friend.
friends as I think that's coming up in a moment. Let's see. And that's where he gets that argument with the doctors. And so he has Dr. Neiman and Dr.
Niemer Strauss.
Niemer and Strauss. When they argue back and forth about what IQ is. IQ stands for intelligent quotient. And there is a scientific debate about how your intelligence works. As in, is your intelligence set at a certain level, and it's up to you to work up to whatever it could be. Like, you have the possibility of being a 135 intelligence level, but you're working at like a 102 level. And so the fact that it's there, or is it the fact that you can keep on rising, the more you learn, the farther up it goes. And it's one of those things where scientists feel different ways. And so they argue back and forth about, is there a cap to it? As far as how high you can go, or can you keep getting smarter and smarter, or can a person's brain only handle so much? DeLong?
I think IQ is like, it measures how much you're capable to learn.
Okay.
So like,
Not how much you currently have, but how far you could go.
it's like, I had my test in like 3rd grade.
Mhm.
So, cause like if you have like a 130 something, but you're in kindergarten, you obviously don't know as much as like an adult who has a 130 something. So it's how much you are capable of learning.
Which is interesting. So then you're saying is that you are capable of going up to genius level, but you may never actually achieve what you could do.
Well, cause like you could be like smart, stupid. So then
Like world smart book.
yeah.
Like book smart world. That's what
I can see that.
Calls me.
Kim?
It's more how you think mental, like how your what your brain says you can do. It's more of a mental block, like when you're running a mile and you say, I can't do this last lap.
Okay.
But you can, but mentally you're saying you can't, so your brain believes that you can't, so you won't do it.
And it's hard to trick your own brain.
Sort of, but like you have, like Luke said, you have the capability of going up there, but your brain is putting a
stoppers.
block. Yeah.
All right.
And
Leroy?
you just have to get through those barriers.
So I think you have like a max IQ level because your brain can like physically handle so much.
Okay.
But the IQ like that you have now is like physically what you have. But there's like your limit is what is possible. Like,
So
your
technically
IQ
you're
is
saying
what
we
you
should have
now.
2 IQs, your working IQ and your max level IQ that you can get to. So he may have a 135 max, but a working of 71. As an example of random numbers. And so that's one of the arguments that scientists go back and forth on. And so, I mean, I'm far from a scientist. I don't even play one on TV. But it's something they bring up in there. As for those of you who have gotten through the end of part 2, does your opinion of Charlie as a person change? As far as, is he still a happy person, good person? What are your thoughts of him as a person from there? Kim,
He sounds depressed.
why do you say that?
Because he sounds very sad in the ending, and I'm not comprehending it because I'm trying to read it so fast. But
And plus part of that section is really tough too.
yeah.
So you're picking up on the fact that he feels unhappy.
Depressed, yeah.
All right, that's definitely a Tony thing that's in there. Tonal, I guess. Griff?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think he's still like a good person at heart, but
Yeah.
he's getting a little bit more sad like each day that he continues writing on, like as if something's just nagging at him.
And why is he getting sad?
Because Algernon died, and he knows exactly why, and because Algernon and him had the exact same test, he knows then because he's so smart that that's going to happen to him.
And that's where in the story it gets the feels and it gets tougher. And knowing with Charlie, is it a good thing to have this surgery where you get smarter, and then the fact that he loses it, but when he started off dumb, he didn't know what he was missing necessarily. When he gets smart and then loses it, he had this wonderful thing and then realizes it as he's losing it. And then as he loses his languages, as the story goes along, he can no longer remember things that he knew that he's supposed to be remembering. He can't even understand his own handwriting because he can't read what he wrote because it was so intelligent and above what his abilities were. It becomes that, was it better to have never experienced it or to have experienced it and lost it? Ka?
I think it's better to like not have it at all because then like when you do lose it, like then you're like wanting it back, but you know that you can't
Because you can't go through it again?
Yeah.
All right. Leroy?
So it's kind of like giving a person that can't have chocolate, saying you can have like a tiny bit of chocolate each week. And they know, okay, I can have this tiny bit, but I can't have it for the rest of the week. It's like taunting them. Like they can have this tiny bit for like a short period of time, but then they can't have it.
So the intelligence is taunting him.
Almost kind of like.
All right. I can see the connection on that one. And what's the thing is I'm watching my clock. With the comments, I'm just trying to make sure I get through the rest of my conversation, not trying to be overly mean to you. So at the end of it, we have, let's back up. What happens with Charlie and his job?
He gets it back because he wants to.
Well, back. Why? How does he lose it in the first place?
Because people are scared of it.
Yeah.
People are scared of him. The idea comes down to people are afraid of what they don't understand. Do people know that he had this surgery? No. He was not allowed to tell anybody. That was part of what he agreed to. So what his friends see and the people he works with is this person who you know is completely dumb, this 4-year-old who has been a 4-year-old forever and suddenly becomes super crazy smart, redesigns things at work. It's like all of a sudden when you invite Lucy with you out to hang out at the mall, she goes and starts macking on all the guys and she's like, I know what's going on. And she all of a sudden pulls out like a big wad of cash and you're like, Lucy. And she's like, I got this, yo. And you're like, what? It completely throws you off. And so his friends start to freak out a little bit, which is understandable. And of course, what happens to everybody at his job? What do they decide to do?
Fire him.
They decide
Except for
to
one
fire
person.
him and get rid of him because of it, except
They're
for
scared.
That one person.
there's one lady who steps up and talks to him, and she's like, everyone wants to get rid of you. And she's like, I don't know what happened to you because you used to be dumb and nice. But then she makes the comment that you're no longer dumb and nice. Now you're smart, and I don't know what you are. Implying that intelligence doesn't necessarily connect to niceness, because she makes that connection that when you were dumb, everyone liked you and you were nice. But now that you're smart, we're not sure what to think anymore. Yeah.
So that goes back to one of the questions that you had earlier. One of the, if you're not emotionally there, I mean, he was all of a sudden given all this knowledge, and he wasn't emotionally, he wasn't ready to handle that. So that's something they had to change that. They can't just give you all this knowledge when he wasn't ready. He lost all that because he wasn't emotionally ready.
He had no
so he
wisdom
lost,
to go with it.
Yeah.
It's your NFL players who suddenly get that paycheck for several $1 million,
Yeah, and
then
they don't know
lose
how
it
to-
right away.
yeah.
I can see the nice connection to make. It's like he has that same issue where he has nothing intelligence-wise, is given this $1 million worth of intelligence, and then loses it all because for him
Doesn't
though,
understand it.
he didn't lose it through spending habits, but just the fact that he was unable to make friends and connections because he had never
He didn't know how to
experienced
do
that before. Nate?
So just a quick comment about that wisdom you mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
So, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad.
I can see that. Good connection between the two. Let's see. And then the title of our story.
Flowers for Algernon.
Why is it called Flowers for Algernon? Macy?
Because he puts flowers on Algernon's grave when he dies.
And that's the whole thing at the very end, once Algernon passes away. Ooh, what is it Charlie does at the end of the story?
He goes away.
Owen?
He apologizes to everyone and then says his last wish is for someone to put flowers out by Algernon's grave.
And so that's where the whole Flowers for Algernon thing comes in. And essentially, Charlie runs away. Because he says, I don't want you guys to remember me this way, where I am dumb. I want you to remember me in the way that I was smart. And the fact that he goes and embarrasses himself by showing up in Miss Kenion's class again. And showing up there, even though he'd graduated at one point, the fact that his brain is deteriorating, and so he wants to then disappear because he knows it's coming, and the idea of just trying to not be connected with all that, making all of our wonderful sadness at the end. Ooh, to this.
No.
Hang on.
We will.
In Charlie's mind, is it worth it?
Yes.
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 Those of you who are judging from the outside, was it worth it?
No.
Then my question is,
Yes.
2 parts, why? And then 2, why is your opinion more important than his? Shouldn't his opinion of it carry more weight?
It's fictional.
Macy?
It's important. It was worth it because he got to be smart, which was his dream, to have the intelligence like everybody else and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
But when it went away, he was happy that he got to experience it, but he was sad when it went away.
All right. John?
So I'm like fighting against that. Like at first he liked it, but then once it went away he was sad, which is kind of the same thing. But then he realized that he's gonna die, and he could have instead like graduated the class normally and just like done that. And I think he would have rather done that at the end of the story. But in the beginning he completely like figured that he wanted to do it. So
He had, the only way for him to know it was the wrong choice was to make it, essentially. Interesting way of looking at it from there. Griff?
I kind of disagree with both of them, but I'm still like on the side of no, it wasn't worth it.
Okay.
Because like what we were talking about before was when he was dumber, he was actually happier than when he was intelligent, and like you don't want to live a life just full of sadness and like depression. You just want to live a life of happiness. And exactly the point, if he had just continued being dumb that entire time, he would have never known like of intelligence. He would have never needed it. He just wanted to be happy. That's the only point.
He did have a lot of envy, I guess. So at the beginning, his happiness came from a different way. At the end, it's more depression, but at the beginning, it's more the envy of what others have. So I guess he just changes one unhappiness for another. Look at it that way. Awful.
I agree with what Ellie said, that he was happy at the beginning and stuff, but when you expose something to someone to something they've never had before, so like when Madeline said like you give something to chocolate, you expose them to that, and they're like, I just want that, I want that. So then he like started like realizing he could get smarter and smarter and smarter, and he just wanted to get to his like max smartness almost. But once he loses it, he can't get it back. There's not really a way of him getting it back. And so he realizes that he wants to go back to his Phoenix class because he wants his like old life back almost, where he could take things at his pace so he could learn them. But now he can't even like do what he used to be able to.
I can do it. Kim?
So I can see it both ways, because when he was smart, he got to, like, in the middle, when he was, like, smart, but, like, not, like, super duper duper smart, he was able to make friendships and relationships with people, and it wasn't...
Wait, should I don't know, but...
It wasn't him being oblivious to people being mean to him. He actually was able to experience something real.
I like it.
And so it was worth it to him. So sorry, I keep talking.
If you are wanting, I'll stare at this too, wanting to turn in notebooks, and you are guaranteeing it is correct, 1, not now, when you're leaving, you'll put it on my desk. 2, our conversation I plan on doing on Friday is going to go in a slightly different direction. And it's going to be more about the ideas of this genetic engineering and whether it is a thing we should pursue as for us, as in actual people nowadays. So we can try to get into that conversation on Friday. Now you can run away.